cribs with them big ceilings, big plays with them big names and them big buildings. That's big business. Hit timber, that's big pimpin'. My potential, that's infinite. Pin game insane. Make hits like King Griffin, a 10th inning.
Welcome to episode 11 of the 10th Inning Podcast. As always, I'm Sean. He's Dan, and well, it's a bit of a somber day or a somber period in time in the baseball world. Well, Dan, you want to explain? Because you seem like you're downtrodden at the moment.
I'm a little trodden on the downside for sure. Hence the black and white, of course. Yeah, the CBA expired on Wednesday night. Right now it's Friday, so we are really a day into this. Pretty sad stuff. The Players Union and the MLBPA and the owners could not come to an agreement on the terms to play under. And right now there is what's called a lockout, which means the teams are not allowing the players to use any facilities, any of their companies or their teams, staff members, research assistants, like I said, any facilities or work. Even though there's no games, if there were to be games right now, they wouldn't be able to work. So yeah, that's what's going on.
Yeah, and if you go on MLB.com, there are no articles about any players whatsoever, just about the game of baseball itself.
It just happened to me, actually. I was trying to look up Kirby Yates because I got something to say about him later on. And as I've said before, I am a user of MLB.com for their stats occasionally. I know there's a big push for Baseball Reference, there. But I do frequent MLB.com occasionally, and I'll give everyone a little screen share just to see what happens. We sharing? Oh, here we go.
We are sharing now, yeah.
You guys got predictions. What do you want me to do? All right, so we're gonna go to we're gonna go from the top, guys. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, MLB.com. When you get there, very weird. Okay, yeah. Very, very uncomfortable. And I was like, all right, that's kind of annoying. I guess I'll just go to teams. Where the hell? Oh, there's teams. And I was looking for Kirby, and I think Atlanta signed up. So I'm like, I'll go to Atlanta. And then I'll just go to their roster. Well, wait a minute. They got coaches, prospects, front office, and broadcasters. None of the players, none of their stats, they're gone. They don't exist.
Yeah.
They no longer work for the Atlanta Braves. No one. So
I see the 1957 World Series Braves are prominently featured.
Not the 2021 World Series, though.
No.
They could still sell tickets, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But the players are nowhere to be seen,
and an interesting little practice, whatever you want to call it, the players' faces of their headshots are no longer on the sites of any Major League Baseball website. And in return, a lot of professional baseball players on Twitter are making their profile picture one of those blank, empty little headshots is kind of a little dig right back at them. It's a very unique situation, I'd say.
Yeah.
And having the players having voices through Twitter and social media is going to make this all the more interesting.
Yeah, we've never been in an age where they've had, social media to kind of push the conversation there and continue the conversation with the general public, which is interesting. I think MLB is doing a good job with that as well. Rob Manfred, I think, put out some really well-written tweets about how he feels about the situation currently.
Yeah.
We might get into a little bit of that later, but where do you want to go with this first?
Do we want to just quickly go over some of the sticking points to the reason that these negotiations haven't progressed so far?
Sure. If you want to lead it off, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. I mean, I was reading an article from Jeff Passan of ESPN, and he kind of just laid out some of the sticking points that the Players Association is looking to get, and the owners may be not so willing to give up. First among them is service time, manipulation-wise. It's a very interesting thing. If a guy comes up, in May, he gets another year of team control as opposed to if he started the year on the opening day roster. which is kind of an interesting thing. I can understand that. It's kind of a weird. I always thought it was a weird practice right then and there. Having if a player comes up a month, 2 months into the season, they don't lose a year of eligibility. It's kind of or team control. Excuse me. It's kind of an interesting little, I don't know, quirk, I guess you could say. Also, the Players Association is looking to get more of the second and third tier players to earlier free agency, as I was just saying, but also higher contracts. So we're not talking about guys like Scherzer or Correa or those kind of guys. We're talking about mid-level players who are still valuable to a team, but not quite to the same degree. And then there's another point out there that I'm blanking on at the moment. But overall, it seems like the players have kind of dug their heels into the ground here, the dirt, and don't really seem to be willing to concede much at this moment, because it is widely regarded that they got hosed in the past few collective bargaining agreements. So,
yeah, no, I mean, you pretty much put the nail on the head there with a lot of things. And to that last point there, one player that has kind of spoken up, not on behalf of MLB, but on behalf of compromise, was Colin McHugh, and he said, we have been hosed the last 3, but you have to take some accountability for it. I mean, you guys made those deals. Like, you got hosed, but you signed the contract. And that's 15 years. It resets every 5 years. So you can't expect to get 15 years of backtracking to come back in 1 year. It's just not possible. So for the players to try and get everything back right now, it's obviously not going to happen. It's just going to cause more problems. So taking 33% of the things they want and getting them back is probably a great first step they should really consider. I mean, this is just really not great for the fans. We've already been in a situation where baseball, has been slowly down-ticking. We're trying to do everything we can to make sure that we stay afloat and stay progressive and reach a younger fan base. And a lockout is just the last thing that the players need, or the teams need, or the league needs. The common goal should be whatever the best for the league is. That's what's going to get the players paid more in the end, and it's going to get the league to grow. So coming to an agreement here shortly is really really important. I read something earlier today that they were saying a lot, like you said, some of the biggest issues were the salaries for those mid-tier players and service time manipulation, and the tanking problem.
Yeah.
So the issue that I kind of have with that is half of their gripe with the tanking problem and why they want these younger players paid more is because the average age of MLB teams are shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have to pay younger players as much. But that, directly disenfranchises the whole, service time manipulation aspect, where it's like MLB teams are bringing up younger and younger players.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to pay them as much. So which one, it's kind of like, which one is it? I've always been a huge proponent of service time manipulation. Is one of the biggest issues in the sport. We saw this happen with Vladdy and Kelenic and various prospects. And I even made like a big project for one of my classes about how the Mariners screwed themselves and their fan base last year with not bringing up Jared. I'm starting to sing a little bit of a different tune nowadays. I do think service time manipulation is a problem. Yeah. However, I think as a fan base, we haven't really recognized that we've been proved wrong the last couple times. Vladdy came up after they said he's not ready, he's just not ready. It's not manipulation, he's just not ready. He came up and he was okay.
Yeah.
He was okay, but he didn't start playing well until this year. He didn't start playing like we thought he would until this year.
Yeah.
And maybe getting those reps at the major league level, of course, aided him in doing that. But at the same time, I mean, I don't think the Blue Jays GM was wrong in saying that Vladdy wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
he came up and he struggled pretty heavily. Kelenic looked awful.
Yeah,
Do I
he hasn't
think
been good, no.
Kelenick's a bad player? No, I think he's probably going to be good in 2 to 3 years for sure, just like Vladdy. I think he'll probably have a Vladdy type MVP type season in 3 years or 2 years. But that's the point. Like, maybe they just weren't ready. Like, it's such a big jump.
I think some of these cases, these teams feel a little rushed to get these guys up here because a team that isn't doing well. The Blue Jays weren't doing well when Vladdy got called up. The Mariners weren't doing that well this year when Kelenic got called up. But they feel the fans and the pressure and all that to get these guys into the majors. And, it didn't really go well right away.
Yeah, so I think we might be putting a little bit too much stock in AAA stats and on these 19 and 20-year-old kids, because Vladdy's 20 when he came out. How old was Kelenic when he came up?
I'm not sure.
I think he was 21 maybe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 22. I can't imagine the amount of pressure that it would be to step on an MLB field right now. So
yeah, I agree. Another aspect of the whole tanking thing, we'll probably get into this a little bit later, but most of the teams who signed these big free agent contracts.
Every shit team has signed players. Every shit team.
The Mets didn't make the playoffs. The Rangers didn't make the playoffs. The Blue Jays didn't make the playoffs. The Mariners did not make the playoffs.
Tigers did not make the playoffs. Exactly. Nowhere close.
Tigers.
All the shit teams went, let's go spend all the moolah.
Absolutely. And, John Boy, the great John Boy on Twitter tweeted out when all these contracts are being signed. It's like, what are the chances that major league owners use this little flurry of deals to try and make it their advantage to say they sign all these big contracts? Well, he said it as a joke, but Rob Manfred's statement he put out, he's like, over the past week or so, Major League Baseball clubs have spent over $1 billion. Well, that was intended as a joke, but of course they used that in the official statement, which, you got to understand the circumstances. Normally, they would not have spent that much money in a period.
No, they got rushed. Players felt rushed because they knew they weren't going to be able to get signed, and they don't know when it's going to happen, so they rather get secure and paid now. That's hexed. Like, them signing that much money away in a small period of time is ridiculous. However, the teams that signed, that's not nothing. No. Those teams didn't have to spend money, but they did.
No. So I wonder how many of these players will look back on it in a couple of years and regret their decisions and felt rushed into the decision. I know Marcus Stroman, who signed with the Cubs, he was rushed on a plane to get to Chicago to finish his physical so he could officially be signed before the deadline struck. And they said it kind of came together quick. But a lot of the players had opt-outs in their contracts, which we'll get to later as well, maybe to combat that a little bit. But yeah, it's just overall, we would prefer not to be talking about a MLB lockout this time of year. We'd love to open this show with signings, Max Scherzer going to my Mets, stuff like that. But unfortunately, money gets in the way of everything, and unfortunately, baseball is not immune to that, and they haven't really shown much over their history. I mean, 1994, they didn't have a World Series because of a work stoppage in the season. Yeah, so this isn't a new problem for baseball or sports in general. But hopefully they can kind of get together and we don't have to miss any spring training or, God forbid, regular season games.
No.
Like we did, because we got to taste this a couple years ago with COVID. They couldn't agree on a schedule. It was like bickering back and forth. It was like children. And who lost that? The fans. The fans are the ones who lose either way. They don't care about the players, how much money they make. They don't really care about the owners. They just want to see the product on the field and then watch and enjoy what they love. And to go off the point you were saying about baseball kind of having some issues with downturn in viewership and all that fun stuff, this doesn't help at all. Millionaires arguing with billionaires when the average fan can barely afford to go to a game or pay parking. You know what I mean? Like that just isn't a good look. I wish there was a way that sometimes these negotiations could be a little more private, but in this day and age, that's just not going to happen.
No.
But yeah, the fans get alienated every single time. And it's going to hurt. It may not hurt a lot, but the longer this draws out, it's going to hurt the viewership, the ratings, and all that jazz. So,
yeah. The one thing that I saw, because I remember listening to Manfred's statement, one thing that I saw that I kind of did like that I wanted to bring up is MLB or Manfred was talking about what they offered to kind of quell or compromise some of these issues. And they offered a minimum cap of $100 million. So that would make teams like the Rays and the A's have to spend more than double what they already spend, which to me is the most important. I don't think teams have to spend more. And the cap in MLB is a soft cap anyway, so what does it even matter? They thought about lowering, I think, the soft cap from 200 to 180, and then making a minimum cap at 100. So every team would be between 100 and 180. And I think the difference between 80 million from 0 to 80 is huge. The difference between 80 million between 100 and 180 is not as much. You can have a relatively similar team for $80 million less once you already reach that $100 million threshold. So I think that's like the most important thing that I saw that would completely fix the competitive balance. If you're already spending $100 million, you're not going to try to be tanking. If you're spending $100 million, you're going to need to try and put a good product on the field because you're going to need gate receipts. You're going to want to go to the playoffs. I don't know why no one's talking about that. A minimum cap, I feel like, is what we need right now.
Yeah, a cap floor to keep teams, relevant and competitive. And
not to say that the Rays and A's aren't competitive, but I mean, just invest in your team a little bit. Get yourself over the hump. They're not winning World Series, but they're winning games, which is annoying.
And, another thing that Manfred put in his statement, which was very true, is baseball, I believe he said, was the only professional sport out of the 4 major ones in North America that has guaranteed 10-plus year contracts, as well as no restriction on the amount of money you can give a player. NBA has structured max contracts based off of service time and all that. Obviously, the NFL doesn't have guaranteed money really whatsoever, or very little. So baseball does have that, where their players are fully guaranteed a contract when they sign it. Which is something that is a luxury when compared to the other professional sports, which, is good to it helps the players and all that. So that was just something I never really thought about prior to him even putting that into the statement, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah. No, I found myself somewhat siding with the league, which is kind of not rare. I see perspectives from both sides, but I feel like I would have been siding with the players right now. But I feel like there has been. The league offered the universal DH, something they really haven't been too keen on. But the players wanted. The league offered some stuff. Like they weren't offering nothing. It's more so the players not giving.
Playoffs too.
Yeah, they're chill with just about a lot of the rule changes and different even budgetary structures that you wouldn't imagine owners would be okay with. I mean, imagine the Rays and the A's having to sign off on $100 million minimum. Like that's like I can't even imagine. Like they won't spend more than 40. I can't imagine them signing off that they have to minimum spend 100, and the players can't move at all. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think unfortunately what it comes down to is the players don't like the owners in most regards. And they just want to take everything they can from them as much as they can. And they're not really in for it necessarily for the greater good of baseball. They just want to win the quote unquote battle, put it that way. Do we want to jump on to maybe slightly more positive things and some of the massive signings we've seen thus far in the offseason?
Sure. I'm cool with that.
I want to start with one to go along with what we were saying about the Tampa Bay Rays. Well, they made a commitment to Wander Franco. Was it a 12-year deal, I believe?
12 years.
I forget the exact amount of money being.
He got 185 guaranteed, which turns out to 15.4, and then with incentives, you can earn up to 223, which is 18.5 per.
Folks, that's some good numbers that he just. That's the kind of work we do here. But yeah, that was, I like to see that. I mean, also a little risky for Wander. Who knows where the hell they're playing the next few years. But so it's I like to see that Tampa Bay kind of locking up their superstar. I wonder if we'll see them do it with a Rosarena or any of their other guys. It's kind of continuation of a trend we've seen. I know Ronald Acuna Jr. signed a contract, I think even before he made his debut in baseball.
Yeah.
And was the Phillies also signed one with Scott Kingery?
Albies.
Albies
is getting I think $16 an hour for the next 16 years or something like that. He's getting minimum wage out there in Atlanta, which is so unfortunate for the kid.
He's a hell of a player. But I was happy to see the Tampa Bay doing that. I've always for some reason like Tampa Bay, even though I don't necessarily like their strategy of the opener and all that. I don't know why. I just kind of maybe root for the underdog. But that was a move that I thought was a smart move on their behalf, and I think it will hopefully work out well for them. So it's a risk, no doubt. But
if you're Wander, do you sign that contract if it's offered to you?
Well, what was the grand total of the deal?
12 years
Yeah.
for 185 up to 223. So he's getting 15 to 18 a year.
And how old is he?
He is, I think he's 21.
All right, so Sabia was age 33 season when he's a free agent.
I thought he was going to be younger. Maybe he's 20. Wander is 20, so he'd be 32.
Right. 32. If all goes well and he plays to his potential, he's still in his prime and still a very good player. I probably would have pushed for 10 years if I were him.
Yeah.
Instead of 12.
Yeah.
But it's hard for someone to turn that down when they've played how many games he's played in the majors at his age. Because let's say he falls off a cliff and is terrible. He still has that money coming his way.
Yeah.
Whether they buy him out and defer them payments like Bobby Bonilla or whatnot.
But by the way, we'll still be getting paid when this contract runs out, and that is something that means so much to me.
I opened myself up to that one. I actually watched an interesting video today by Secret Base about that whole debacle and how it actually kind of worked out for the Mets, but we'll get into that another time. But I think that I would sign that contract just based off the unknowns of the future. You're still making a lot of money. Could you make more if you didn't sign that contract and then were a free agent at age 26 season? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that you got to kind of accept that deal, especially when he hasn't even played a full season in the majors.
Yeah. I think like what you said, I think the 15 to 18, I'm cool with. That's going to set me off. I think the 12 is where I would have been like, I need that to be closer to 10, because that'll get me out at 30, and then I could really look to almost double up, do another 10, and call it a career.
Yeah. No, I agree. You want to jump? So we're going to go another free agent signings. Let's jump into Chris Taylor, because I think Danny's a little bit of a spirit lift right now.
I could use it.
So I can sense it through the screen here. It's how close we are. But what do you think of the Chris Taylor contract?
Underpaid is what I think. Underpaid. The Dodgers needed this. If the Dodgers didn't sign Chris Taylor, my fandom would have been really taken. I don't know where my fandom is. I gotta wait for next season to see how I really feel. I'm a Dodgers fan, but as I've alluded to before, I'm a fan of the Dodgers players. I'm a player first, not organization first fan. Yeah. I love me some Chrissy T, some Clay, some Baby Seeg, some Ginger G's. Okay, those are my guys. So to see Chris walk after Keek and Jock, which are to me all very similar kind of, those are the I can't speak today. What do you call the dugout pieces? The mold guys, glue guys.
Glue guys.
Those are all the glue guys. But yeah, I think 15 is really reasonable for Chris. I really do.
Right?
Over 4, yeah. So he's got 60 over 4. I think that's a fairly reasonable deal for the Dodgers, and I think Chris just wants to play in LA, and I don't blame him.
I saw there was a tweet I think Ken Rosenthal put out, but basically saying that he had other teams contacting him, but he had zero interest in playing for another team than the Dodgers.
And that's crazy because Chris Taylor has almost exclusively never started for the Dodgers and is a starter. So it just speaks to the culture. He gets plenty of playing time. It's just, I think he likes being the super utility guy, and that he's comfortable in that role. He's comfortable. He's got one of those attitudes where you could throw him in left and then put him at second base 2 innings later, and he's chill with that. So that's
he doesn't care where he plays. Especially
with Seeger out of the picture now, you might even see a lot more playing time for him, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. Well, you allude to Seeger. So Corey Seeger going to the Texas Rangers for 10 years at $350 million.
I think it was 325, but
325. My bad.
yeah. But
Never been much of a numbers guy.
should have been 350 if you're asking me. Didn't see this coming. Tell you that. Texas.
They also signed Marcus Semien, and the Rangers did for 7 years. I forget the dollar total.
They got a filthy middle infield now at a just absolute. Semien got a 25-year. It was 7 for like 170 something, I think.
Which was a lot longer of a deal than I expected, and a lot of people expected him to get.
Yeah. But Seeger, I think Texas. Believe it or not, I'm gonna give an odd take on this because I just
John Gray too. They also signed John Gray.
John Gray, correct?
John Gray,
who could be a lot better now that he's at a course. But just did a presentation yesterday morning, Sean, on the Texas Rangers Globe Life Park or field now, their new stadium, and I think that this is going to have a lot of play on why they're getting these free agents. They actually have to go for them, but why they're able to sign people. You think about Globe Life Field, Park. Sorry, I keep forgetting which one's
I think it's
recent.
I think it was Park was the old one.
Park was the old one. Fields.
I think so.
I'm going Field is the new.
Okay. All right, I agree.
Could be wildly wrong, by the way.
Yeah.
Globe Life. We're talking outdoor stadium. August, 105 in Texas. You're not getting me playing there. You're not getting me coming there as a fan. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. You got to think about this because, like, those kind of situations, it is real life for these guys. So those things play into it. Mm-hmm. Now that they're an indoor stadium, they can close the roof and they have natural light. It's not just like a closed roof with a full. Sean, I got to tell you something right now. Having real trouble. They don't have a
roof. Is that what you're saying?
It's a retractable roof, but it's like glass in a way where natural light shines through, but it doesn't glare. So they got some science going on, and I got to tell you from doing my research, they got a climate tech situation in there, Sean, where the HVAC is top notch.
Really?
So now baby Siegs gets into the summer. They don't got to worry about the heat no more. Okay? So I think that played a lot into people being like, I guess I could play in Texas now because I'm not going to have an issue with the heat. It kind of made it a little bit softer to sign there.
And more of a willingness on the part of the team to spend money because it's a new stadium.
Exactly.
They want to get people in the seats. They want to make up some of that money I'm sure they spent on building that.
Yep. Plus $1.1 billion, by the way.
How much?
1.1.
Oh, that's it?
It was a private-public split. The city of Arlington paid $500 million. The Rangers paid about $600 million. City of Arlington has the complete rights to the stadium. They own the stadium, the building, the physical building, and the Rangers just can use it and have the brand and naming rights to it. I'm just spewing out my project information.
I hope you got 100 on that presentation.
I did. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But yeah, Texas Rangers making some splash. So let's talk about a team that didn't do well past 5 years. Jump up to Detroit, Michigan with the Detroit Tigers.
I thought we were going to the Mets.
What was that?
Mm-hmm.
You thought we were going to the Mets?
Yeah.
We're saving them for a little bit later, all right? So the Detroit Tigers, Javi Baez. I thought actually was a 6 for 140 with an opt-out after 2.
I thought this was the fairest deal I've ever seen in my life.
I thought he was getting a lot more. Did I think he deserved more? No, but I thought he was going to get like $200 million because that's what everybody was talking about. 6 for 140. I almost wonder if he was rushed. like I don't know. Like that. I mean, fair deal. I think it's a good deal for both sides. If you think about it, it's probably just a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
Unless Bobby has a miserable next 2 years. But I mean, for Detroit, that's not a bad move for a team that has been struggling, but they're trying to get things going. I don't know.
I think Javi is worth about $23 million a year right now. I think that's pretty much where I'd pin him, and that's exactly what he got. So, but that was interesting move by Detroit, but fair deal all around.
Yeah. Now, did you want to go to a certain signing that really piqued your interest?
Are we talking about with the Mets?
Any signing, any free agent.
Yeah,
that you,
I'm gonna go. Well, he's saying piqued my interest. There's a couple that piqued for sure. I'm gonna go to the Mets because I think the Mets had, I think they had one of the best signings, and then some signings that maybe weren't as great.
yeah.
But the Mets got the top offensive player on the board this year, Eduardo Escobar, 2 years, $20 million. I mean, they got the best third baseman in the league. No, have you seen the numbers? Have you seen them? Eduardo Escobar.
He's no Freddie Freeman.
He's filthy, Eduardo. He's filthy with the lumber. Okay? I don't want to hear any more shit about Eduardo anymore. Fuck Chris Bryant. He's the guy. Honestly,
I like that contract, yeah.
$10 million a year for that guy is ridiculous. But I think he could have got 15.
Third.
Yeah, I mean, he could have got Chris Taylor money and then some easily. I think you could have seen him get, the whatever. I'm gonna have trouble again. Whatever $18 million is. What is
for what?
Not arbitration. I can't speak today. Qualifying offer. I could see him get 18 over 36 for 2 years. I could see him get that.
He's had some monster years late in his career too. Not later in his career. He's still only at 32.
Sean, the man's a Hall of Famer.
Okay, all right.
In the prime of his career.
Okay,
so I think
he's in the prime of his career.
I think the Mets really stole one there. They got Marte. I don't like getting a speed guy 33 to 37. I know he was still 40 bags at 32, but
47 last year.
But 33 to 37, Sean, 19 and a half, I can take it. That's fine. Honestly, for the money, it's worth it.
I think for him, they more expect. I mean, he's going to steal less base as time goes on, yeah, but he's got a good bat, and he's still a good defender, and they can slide him to the corner outfield spots if he gets a little older.
That's true because the Mets do have elite center fielders
in the clubhouse. Same with Escobar too. They're really trying to get the clubhouse back together after some rough events last year, and both I've heard that Marte and Escobar are really good in the clubhouse.
Yeah, they could just slide him over to center field. He's a great center fielder. He hasn't had any issues whatsoever.
He played fine in center last year, but he's going to probably be in right now. So,
yeah. And then who else did they sign? They signed Max for 43 per. That to me is a little bucky.
Well, if you're thinking about it, Steve Cohen wants to win.
Scherzer thinking about it.
Max Scherzer is 37, yeah, but he had the best year of his career last year. Given at the end of his year, his arm was a little sore. He missed some starts and did not pitch well down the stretch.
Yeah.
The playoffs fine, but the regular season not so much. But I'm okay with that money for it's 3-year deal, but third year is a player option.
If Scherzer declines $43 million at the age of 40 years old, I'll give that guy the biggest handshake he's ever seen in his life, Sean. Okay? God bless his soul if he thinks he can get 50.
I was shocked at that because he didn't want to get traded to the Mets at the deadline.
Yeah.
Well, they asked him in the press conference, and he said it was more the Nationals not wanting to trade him in division, which I understand that. But at the same time, he's pitching for the Mets this year in the same division. So I don't really think they can control that much. But, yeah, also, why the hell was Scott Boras in that meeting? There's press conference.
I have no idea.
He just sat there. Not a big Scott Boras guy myself, but that's for another day. I think that contract for the Mets, if they were trying to win now, was about the most win now move you could possibly do.
Yep.
They got him 1-2. The rest of the rotation is a crapshoot. I mean, they still could sign some guys out there. But I think that was a good move. They get a ton of money, obviously, but it's not my money, so what do I care? But yeah.
I got a question for you, Sean.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you want you're a GM out there, okay? Would you rather have Kevin Gausman for 5 years at $22 million, or Robbie Ray for 5 years at $23 million? Same contract basically. Who you picking
I'd
up?
say Gosman's had a little more of a track record of success. Robbie Ray just fell out of the sky last year.
Yeah.
And had a great year.
Yeah, I think I'm taking Gosman too. I mean, Gosman also has a track record of non-success. However, he's been good for about a year and a half, at least 2 years now. So I'm taking Gosman for 22 per. I think both are a little, maybe they're not too pricey, I guess. You got to constantly, realize where you are in the world. If Scherzer's getting 43, and then Gosman can certainly get 22. I'm just saying, like, value-wise, it's worth it.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to glance or miss Mark Canha. I don't know how you ever say his last name. He also signed with the Mets.
Yeah. No, another great signing there. The Mets, I think the Mets have made pretty good moves. I mean, when you signed Eduardo Escobar, honestly, you can do anything else you want. I'm going to think you had a great offseason.
Is Dan getting an Eduardo Escobar Mets jersey? Is that a thing? Hey, if you want him to get a jersey, in the comments below, write that.
I'll get the Diamondbacks jersey. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, Sean. What do you think was the worst signing, and what do you think was the most underrated signing?
The worst signing? That's a tough one. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some of the signings that have gone on that we haven't discussed yet, really. I don't know. Who's yours, if you have one? Because I got to think on it for a little bit.
You might not like this. I love the player, okay? I've been a big proponent of the player. But I think Stroman, 3 years at 71 is a little wild on the Cubs. Because the Cubs, I mean, you fucking suck. I mean, I hate to tell the franchise, but they're not good at the sport. I mean, he's getting almost 24.
They gave him a ton of money, but I guess Stroman doesn't care about winning necessarily.
I mean, what are you paying Stroman 24 to lead your staff? I mean, like, you're not going anywhere with that.
No.
I don't get that at all.
Here we are talking about wanting teams to be competitive, and then a team isn't good.
Because as a business, I get it. Like, as a business, why would I pay? Like, I want them to be competitive, but that means maybe bringing in Eduardo Escobar and Chris Taylor for $25 million total and plugging him into the Cubs versus Stroman for $25 million. Like, what improves the Cubs more? You know what I mean? Throwing Eduardo at third now, replacing Chris or whatever the fuck they got there now, and then Chris Taylor at second base, replacing Javi, or short, replacing Javi. Like that's a big improvement. Bringing in Stroman to be a 2 maybe for your staff. I don't know where the Cubs, how many wins they think that's going to add to them. I don't know. I mean, they know more than me. But.
No, I agree. I thought that was pretty random. I really did. I don't really understand that one fully. Yeah, I don't know. I agree with you. I don't like that one. I guess what signing I necessarily didn't like was the Mariners signing Robbie Ray.
Okay.
I just don't think Robbie Ray is going to sustain that level that he was at this year. And I don't remember the contract. I don't have that right in front of me. But I don't think they necessarily – he should have been the pitcher they went after as hard as they did.
That's fair. And what do you think was the sneakiest or the best signing?
Aaron Loop signing with the Angels. I know he got a good amount of money, but Aaron Loop had one hell of a year. Sub-1 ERA. Lefty bullpen. I think that didn't get a lot of play, like in the media, But I think that's a very underrated signing. The Angels, do they need him? Are they good? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe they'll trade him at the deadline because the Angels just are allergic to winning anything. But, yeah, I think that was pretty underrated. He's a very good pitcher.
Okay. I think my best signing, I have been kind of a hater of this guy throughout his whole career. When he came up, I was like, he's not going anywhere. I saw an interview with him, and honestly, it was something about his girlfriend that really bothered me in the interview. And I was like, if you're dating someone like that, you're not going to be just good at what you do. Like, that was the honest take.
Type thing, like you would think it wouldn't work, but it does.
What do you say?
Like Patrick Mahomes.
Right. And he's starting to struggle once he got married.
is maybe.
I'm just saying. I think they're. I mean, listen. Again, you got to remember these guys are real people, so they go home to this shit. I was like, this guy is gonna have trouble on the field. There's no, and he did. This guy was a top prospect and had trouble on the field for a lot of years. I'd like to see if they broke up because if Byron Buxton dumped his girl and then came out this year.
I knew you were gonna be Byron Buxton.
If he dumped a girl this year, I'm a genius. I'm gonna go back to later. I'm talking this is like 5-6 years ago. I was like, no shot. Don't even put any stock in this guy. I wish I could find the interview and show it. If I can, I'll put a clip here. Tell me if you know what I'm saying. I'm not sure being an ass, but you know what I mean. Anyway, 7 years, $100 million. After the breakout, I mean, it might not be sustainable, but if it is, I mean, everyone knows he has so much raw talent. He just couldn't put it together. $14 million over the next 7 years for Byron Buxton. If he's that productive, we're talking he was MVP candidate before he got injured. His speed is not going to go away. That can't go away. I think his power is here to stay. Once you hit for power, you have power. You know, it's just the bat-on-ball skills that had been lacking. His defense, don't get me, he's one of the best defenders in baseball at a premium position. So, I mean, as long as you can keep the bat-on-ball skills and his eye, like stop swinging at pitches out of the strike zone like he did a better job of this year, $14 million for that in a couple of years is going to look pretty good.
And that was a little surprising because it seemed like the Twins may have been out on him. You know, it was kind of like up in the air. Is he coming back? Is he going to be letting him walk? But yeah, no, I was happy to see that. I've always liked Byron Buxton's defense. It was always a guy, I mean, you kind of always would joke about, you know, being a top prospect and never, you know, playing well, aka jerks and Profar.
Second coming of.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, and that was a contract I thought was very reasonable on the Twins' part.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, I just remembered Robbie Ray. One of the reasons I didn't like it was he was qualifying offer extended to him, and the Mariners lose a first-round pick over him, or their second pick, or whatever it is. They lose a draft pick for Robbie Ray. Sorry to jump back. I thought of that as you were talking.
No, you're fine. I think that kind of covers the big signings that we've had.
Yeah. Oh, I also just wanted Justin Verlander. He reportedly has signed a contract for what you say, 23, 25 a year. It's like a 2-year deal.
25, I think. Yeah, I think it was 2 and 50.
His brother reported on Twitter, and then it has yet to become official. So, just wanted to include that in there. Maybe we got some movement coming along here.
Yeah, and I do have a little bit of insight. I spoke to Ben yesterday. He told me that he was busy in weeks prior, hadn't got a chance to watch our podcast, our latest one. He did, then realized that I predicted Justin and his friend Carlos would be joining the Yankees against my own hopes. And Ben contacted me and was like, "Hey man, hadn't realized. Don't worry, we're gonna back out of this. Wait till the lockout's over. He'll be with the Yankees, no worries." And I said, "I actually rather not, but I appreciate you watching it."
Oh, Justin Verlander confirmed listener viewer of the 10th Inning podcast.
That's it.
Yeah, so there's not a ton of great, or there still are some good free agents out there, but not as we'd hoped. We kind of got caught in a tough spot with the CBA ending and not necessarily realizing it, and then Thanksgiving coming up. So we didn't really get a chance to predict all of the free agents we had hoped to go to which team.
That's cool.
It would have been 100% if we did. We would have absolutely nailed them on the head. Goes without saying. But we've got some good ones left. Is there a free agent you'd like to start out with here, Dan, to give our predictions?
I want to start out with. I'd like to start out with Fredward Freeman.
Yeah.
What do you think?
You know, my head still tells me it's going to be the Braves because how the hell could you let that man walk away? But
what's your heart telling you?
But my heart is saying you might like this. It may not financially even make sense. The LA Dodgers. I was between them and the Yankees for a little bit. Then I'm like, nah, not the Yankees. The Yankees already got Boyd and all that. The LA Dodgers. Who's their first baseman right now?
Max Muncy.
Yeah. He got injured. Got a little bit of an injury history, right?
Don't you. First off, I love Freddie. Don't come at Max. Max is sliding to second base, is what you're telling me. Because Max is also our second and third baseman.
Yes.
Just to be frank. Right.
It's a Dodger thing.
Right.
But yeah, no, Freddie, I don't necessarily think he goes there. Hell, I didn't think Max Scherzer would be a Met. But I think he goes back to the Braves. He's only asked for like 6 for like 140. Which, yeah, 140 million is a lot of money, but he's worth every penny. If Javi Baez got 140 over, was it 4 or 6 years as well? I mean, Freddie is 10 times the player Javier Baez is.
Yeah.
So I think my head says the Braves, but I think if there was a chance that fell through, I think the Dodgers would be players for him. And probably the Yankees, but I'm feeling the Dodgers more so.
Yeah. I don't disagree with your heart either. I think there is a shot that he goes to the Dodgers. I think it's a very Dodgers move. That'd be insanity, by the way. Yeah. But I mean, if they were thinking about Corey, which obviously they were, I mean, they weren't like never considering bringing him back. I mean, Corey just got $325 million. So if Freddie wants half of that, they could certainly consider it.
Yeah.
You then have Freddie Freeman, Cody Bellinger, and Mookie Betts as MVP winners on your team, which is, it's a little nutty.
He's going to have a good year this year. He's going to come back from that just atrocious year last year.
Hopefully, yeah. I think Muncy would slide to second. Yet again, Lux would be out of a job, which honestly, that's the main reason I think we signed Freeman, just to screw with Lux a little bit more.
Yeah.
Wait, who's our shortstop?
Trey Turner.
Oh, right. I forgot we have MVP candidate Trey Turner. I got so scared we had nobody. Oh, I was like, don't we have a shortstop? Yeah, top 3 in the league. Don't worry about it. Then we got Justin Turner third, the best catcher, and then left field, I guess we'll have AJ. I'd like it if we would have signed Marte, but what are you going to do?
Why didn't they go after – you say Marte, Starling?
Yeah. I would have liked him in left.
Yeah. For once, the Mets beat him out. I'm just saying. Anyway, why didn't they try and go after Corey Seager? Like that whole year last year was one of the most mind-boggling things. It was like no one said anything about the fact he was a free agent, and as far as I know, didn't have any dialogue between the team and him. And they trade for Trey Turner, and I was like, all right, is his fate sealed? Like, is he going to be gone? And I just thought that was handled very weirdly. I feel like Corey Seager did not get a whole lot of respect from the organization, especially since he was the World Series MVP or the NLCS MVP prior, whatever it was.
Both.
Yeah, and there we go. That's a huge loss. I know he
didn't get it.
That's a huge loss. I don't think the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers got significantly worse so far this offseason.
100%.
They go with the same team, unless they don't sign Freddie Freeman. I don't even know. They're not the favorites in the National League. I don't know who necessarily is, but they're leaps and bounds above the competition it normally is.
No, and that's the crazy part. As much as it's insane to say that the Dodgers could sign Freddie Freeman, I think that the only person that could really replace what Corey was able to put out over a season is going to be Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman's a little bit better, but in my opinion, not much. And that's what we would need to do. And maybe you can get Freeman for cheaper than Seeger, but I mean, he's not playing a premium position and he's older and he's not a Dodger. I mean, Seeger came up with the Dodgers, won Rookie of the Year, has been there his whole career, never did or said anything bad, and not that Freeman has either. Freeman's phenomenal. But
they heard him talk.
He's just such a good guy. I don't get it. I don't. Not even a thought they gave him. I don't like Trey Turner on the Dodgers. I loved Trey Turner about 6 months ago on the Nationals. Thought he was filthy. Okay? Hate him on the Dodgers. He's not a Dodger. Corey Seager is a Dodger. Now he's a fucking Ranger, which is absolutely insanity. I hate that.
Not to go on a Dodger tangent here, but their starting rotation's kind of up in the air right now. They lost Scherzer. Trevor Bauer is banished. I mean, who knows what's happening to him? But who's in that rotation aside from maybe not even Kershaw? I mean, you got who else you got in there? You got May, right? When he comes back,
they're gonna have Bueller at the 1, probably One Eye at the 2, May at the 3. Is Price still under contract?
Yeah, I think so.
and then or probably Tony at the 4, Price at the 5.
They need starting pitching.
I mean, that rotation, believe it or not, is still somewhat filled to me, but that's just how deep the Dodgers are.
Yeah.
But they could use another established arm to pick up for Gonsolin in May.
They still got that elite bullpen, but I mean, I'm not saying that they're not going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to that length, but I'm saying they are significantly worse at this exact moment without Corey Seager and not signing any big name free agents so far. Just my thought.
Yeah, I mean, it goes more than just replacing offensive or defensive production. It's replacing a person. And Seager's been in that dugout forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I mean, you're not going to be able to replace Corey Seager in the dugout. It's not going to happen. I think I said it last year when they gave up on Keek and Jock. I'm like, you're not going to be able to replace Kike Hernandez. You can't. It's one of one. It's just Keek. You can add homers and RBIs to replace that, but that's not going to matter, in big time situations or in the playoffs. Like, Keek is Keek and Seager is Seager. So
yeah,
it's kind of sad.
Yeah. Well, from one shortstop to the next, we got Carlos Correa. You think he's going to the Yankees?
Oh yeah, I don't want him to go there, so he'll be there.
I think, yeah. I mean, he said some not so nice things about Derek Jeter. I think he goes to the Tigers. AJ Hinch is the manager, and you say, hey, they got Javi. Well, they had Semien, and they still got Corey Seager. So, I think he can make work. Javi played second base with the Mets. He can play third base. Like, they can put him anywhere they want. I think that because that was a lot of speculation he was going to go there, and I don't think that's necessarily going to end now. I think that they still have a spot for him.
So we have the AL Central and West bottom of the barrel teams now signing just the best 2 middle infield duos in baseball. I like it.
It still suck because there's 9 players on the field at once.
Right.
You're pitching, you're not going to win.
Hey, listen, God bless their souls if that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have Correa going to the Yankees. I think once he said the bad thing about Jeter, that's when it was set. Basically the contract was extended. That's our guy. That's it.
So most baseball fans would consider him a big name. You do not, but we got a third baseman and left fielder, and apparently plays a little first base too. Chris Bryant.
Who?
2016 MVP National League. Ring a bell.
The most overrated MVP I've ever heard. Yeah, continue. Well, Andrew McCutchen. Continue.
Yeah, McCutchen had a bit of a year. 2012?
Yeah.
It was the Dreads. Everybody loved the Dreads.
I loved it. I would have voted for him just off the Dreads.
I like him, yeah. Chris Bryant, where do you think he's going?
Because you had said just do the big name free agents, I actually didn't even pick a team. Didn't consider Chris Bryant a big name.
All right.
So you could just take this one yourself.
You want me to take this one?
Yeah. Sorry.
Folks, Dan just died. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the New York Mets.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Sean. They already have the best third baseman in the league. What are they going to do with Chris?
A lot of reports saying they were hot and heavy for Chris Bryant, even after signing Eduardo Escobar.
Okay.
The Mets, they already have a logjam. Okay, Robbie Cano's coming back from his suspension. The Mets have like 35 infielders. Why not add one more?
Can also play a corner position. I doubt they're going to get Conforto back, so he could probably
put him out and left because Dom Smith, depending on the DH, is up in the air. But the Mets, most of the lineups are up in the air. I mean, they got not to get too in depth, they got J.D. Davis, Jeff McNeil, Robbie Cano. Those are 3 guys who probably won't even start.
Jeff McNeil not starting is insanity to me.
Yeah. Well, they could put him in left field too. But either way, they got a lot of stuff to figure out. I'm sure a trade's going to be in order. But yeah, I think the Mets. I'm probably way off here, but there's been momentum. Steve Cohen likes to spend money, wants to win, and as much as my brother hates this, he thinks the Mets are trying to buy a championship. As I told him, I'll take it to any kind of championship, honestly. But he not like that signing. But that's just what I think. I don't know about you. Got any opinions on KB?
No, again, I'm just doing the top tier free agents.
Well, top tier. Who do you have next on the list of top tier?
So next I have Trevor Story.
This is another good one.
And I think I'm gonna try and make the additions of Jan Gomes, Clint Frazier, and Marcus Stroman make a little bit more sense by adding Trevor Story to the Cubs shortstop position.
You know that
I don't like it, but I think they do. I honestly think the Cubs get Trevor Story.
Justify the Stroman signing a little bit more.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't really know where else Trevor Story can go. I can't think of any other teams that need a shortstop. Maybe the Angels, but I can't imagine they have any cap space. Or not cap space. They have a lot of money they want to spend because I don't think they want to be in luxury tax that much. I don't really know where he can go aside from Chicago.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, unless like you get like the Kansas City Royals or some other, the Guardians, some other like bad team that.
I've heard Cardinals.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I could see it. They have so much big contracts already with Goldschmidt and Arenado. Man, I mean, if they want
Arenado and Story back together though, left side.
Yeah, I want to see that, but then the Cardinals are really good, and I
don't like the Cardinals.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
It's tough.
The next guy I got is Nick Castianos. I have him returning to the Detroit Tigers, making the Javi Baez signing make a little bit more sense. I think he really broke out with the Tigers, went to the Reds, and I think the Tigers are back now ready to win with AJ Hinch. And they're like, they know him already. I think they had a fairly decent relationship, if I remember correctly. I think the falling out wasn't the best, but nothing that wasn't reparable. So I think Nick Castellanos is playing right field for the Tigers.
I don't think AJ Hinch was there when he got traded either. It was Brad Ausmus, I believe. That probably helped. But I actually have Castellanos going back to the Cubs because I think he was there for like half a season. He got traded, and justifying the Marcus Stroman signing. A lot of justifications here.
Yeah.
But I think the Cubs need more offense and a little more good players, and lack of better term. But I think that he goes back to. I think he signs a pretty big contract because the Cubs need some players. They might. I mean, they already overpaid for Marcus Stroman. Maybe not overpaid for him, but you know what I'm saying. I think he goes to the Chicago Cubs. Clayton Kershaw, a free agent. No one really knows much about where he's doing right now. Is he, in a cave? Is he just in a bunker? And that was very interesting, by the way. That was very interesting. All right, where do you think Clayton Kershaw is signing this offseason, if not retiring?
I get the retirement things. I feel like I started the whole I think Kershaw's gonna retire and everyone else jumps on it. No one else can say it but me. Okay, that's first off, that's gotta be put out there. He's not retiring unless I say he's retiring, and he's probably retiring. I think he's going to Texas.
I think I know where you're going with this. I just want to hear it and see it come out of your mouth.
I think he's going to Texas.
That's what we expected. Yep, I agree. I think he's going to play 1 to 2 years with the Rangers and retire. How does that make you feel? Yeah. Yes, that's tough. Huh?
I think the Dodgers are really just turning into an evil empire. They're not really respecting their players, and this is like 2-3 years in a row now. I mean, Kershaw is still a very serviceable starting pitcher in the major league. I don't know, where is this Kershaw sucks bullshit coming from?
I know the Dodgers, but they did promise him. They said if he wants to come back to the Dodgers, he's more than welcome. I think it's more on Kershaw's point, like his decision at this point.
If they want to come back, but for what money? What are they offering him? Yeah. What do you think Kershaw's worth? If you're a team, what are you paying Kershaw?
I'd give him $10 million a year.
You're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your fucking mind. What are you talking about? Scherzer just got 43. You just paid Scherzer 43. 40.
I had to do that.
Oh, I thought you were serious. Holy shit.
Verlander is supposed to get 23?
25.
I'd give Kirsch 22 to 23 a year.
I'll take it. I'll I'll take it. I don't love it, but I mean, listen. Last year you had a 3.5 ERA, which, by the way, is still above league average. Just so everyone's understanding of what that means. But I mean, 2020
You mean
had
average?
What'd you say?
You mean below league average?
No, below. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, 2020 he's sitting at a 2.1.
But
he's
it's not talent and what he's got left. It's the injuries. It's the back. He's got
I
the
know.
elbow.
I know.
And it's so much up in the air. That's just what's holding everything back.
I think his talent is still worth $30 million. Just his raw talent. Like if you can get a full season, I think he's still worth 30 to 35 in these market conditions. But with the injury, I could see 25-ish is probably fair.
I mean, if you're the Rangers, what do you have to lose? You just spend so much money on your middle infield. You want to sell some tickets? Sign Kershaw. I mean, what the worst is he doesn't pitch or pitches very little. But if he signs like a 1 year, 2 year contract, maybe a 1 year with a team option or something, if it doesn't work, you wipe your hands clean of him after a year and it's all set. I just don't see the downside to it. Unless, of course, he has major problem with his elbow where he needs surgery and that throws a whole wrench into it. Then if that's the case, I think he retires.
He's just still only 33, though. That's the issue. He's not as old as you think.
How old was Sandy Koufax when he had to retire with the Dodgers? He was young too. Might just be a Dodger thing. Maybe that's why Scherzer went to the Mets. He's like 37. In Dodgerland, that's 50.
I'm not ready for the Kersh thing to be over.
No, I know you'll support him no matter where he goes.
I will. I mean, Texas has honestly always been in like my top 5 favorite teams for a couple reasons. Firstly, I'll get to. I'm going to give that number 3. I'm going to go with number 3.
Okay. All right.
Firstly, colors. I mean, beautiful colors. They always. Secondly, again, the colors are just cool. And when I was growing up, they had really fun teams. That bleeds into the second thing. Michael Young, loved him. Random name, Alexio Gondo. I mean, I just fucking loved him. Nelly fucking Cruz, loved him. One of my favorite players, 2 of my favorite players of all time. 2 of my probably top 3 or 4 players of all time played for the Rangers. Do you know who those 2 players are?
Adrian Beltre won. There's another on there.
It was a shorter stint. It wasn't his, biggest team, but
Josh Hamilton.
3 of my top probably 6 favorite players of all time played for the Rangers. Josh Hamilton, love juice, you know that.
Yeah.
I was rooting for Texas all those years in the playoffs. I was a big Rangers fan. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladimir Guerrero Sr. Not Jr.
Yeah.
Senior.
Short, but yeah.
I love that. Was like when I was growing up. That was like that 2010. I bet you played with them. Like that was
our baseball fandom.
Yeah. So Texas was always like a really exciting team for me. And thirdly, what's the third reason, Sean?
Well, St. Gerard Little League, the Texas Rangers were 3-time champions. 3, count 3. 1, 2, 3. And the best team that St. Gerard's has ever seen and ever will see, assuming they even do Little League anymore.
Thank you. This is Dan Barrow, your leadoff hitter and primary second baseman. Thank you very much. I mean, come on now. I mean, some of the best baseball you've ever seen played was me donning the Texas Rangers uni.
It was. We were so good out there. It's not even
elite.
Funny.
It was honestly, it got boring after the 3rd straight championship. We were just like, God, no one else is even close here.
We understood why Michael Jordan retired after the 3rd championship.
That's what it was.
So
yeah, no, we were elite. But yeah, so I would be cool. I think like I said, they have cool unis. So the white or the blue, I would love a Kershaw white or blue Texas Rangers jersey.
Red too. The red,
and don't count out the lettering. The lettering on the numbers is a little bit boxy.
The script, yeah.
It is, and the numbers themselves on the back, they have like I don't know how to put it, but it's a nice looking jersey. So Obviously, I'd like Clayton to play with the Dodgers the rest of his career, but we're trying to get ready.
Yeah. Well, as far as top free agents go, I can only think of one more, and then we can call it a day after that.
All right.
Michael Conforto. I have one. If you got more, we can do this all night. But Michael Conforto, ex-Met. I know you don't agree with him being a big name free agent either, and I, as a Mets fan, don't know if I do either. But we're gonna throw it in here. I think he goes to Seattle. There's some rumblings about him going to Seattle. I hope he gets the hell away from the Mets because he's just gonna light it up no matter where he goes. Ex-Met thing. I swear if he goes to Washington, Atlanta, or Miami, or Philly, I might just jump out a window. I don't know. He's going to just tear it up. I hope he goes to Seattle and we never see him again.
Oh, I didn't think about Michael Conforto as a top free agent.
Well, you got a team in there.
Okay, I'll think about it. Give me a second. I could see Conforto a little bit of an odd move here. I think Conforto might sign with the Red Sox. The Red Sox just traded Hunter Renfroe, which was their big power right fielder, for some prospects and JBJ, which I don't think is going to get much playing time. I think that's just a feel-good move.
That trade at all. Renfroe was one of the most important players in their offense last year.
And I think they replace him with Conforto. I think that might be the crux of the trade, is that they were probably in conversations and feel like they're going to get Conforto. That's just my take on it.
I like it. I like the take.
So he could probably come close to replacing that kind of production from Renfroe, hopefully, if he's as good as he says he is. And then, JBJ, I don't think he gets much playing time other than defensive replacement in center field.
If this podcast was 3 years ago, we'd be talking about JBJ when he was one of the top free agent outfielders out there.
I know.
Offseason. Now he had a miserable year for the Brewers.
He's had some weird, random, 4-month stretches where he's just a decent offensive player, and his defense has always kept him in the league. But he's not the greatest with the Lumbee, so I think he's just about done at his age.
Yeah. Did you have any other free agents you wanted to talk about?
No, Sean, I think that was it. That was the last I had, was Clay.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty clean down my free agents as well. Got anything else you want to talk about before we call it a show?
I'd love to do a deeper dive into our championships one day.
We would have to have Leif on here.
Yeah.
Kyle would have to come on because he witnessed it all. We were part of it, so we may not remember certain things.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I know we had mentioned 3, but it was 6. We were like Michael Jordan. We were 6-0 in we are Michael Jordan. Just to be clear, they were only over 3 years. We were just in 2 leagues, school and non-school, and we just cleaned house.
Our Lady of Wisdom baseball team was just baseball has never seen a better team.
No, baseball heaven was are we baseball heaven or are they baseball heaven?
And on many occasions, we would go from one game to the other. That's how dedicated we were. And we would just wipe the floor with both opponents.
Oh, God. Pack in the car. Get to the next place and just, it's over. Goodbye.
We were just, no matter whose car it was, we didn't even need a locker room to get changed in. We were just.
Oh, I got naked right next to that kid right there. Right in the car.
No comment.
Right in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I got for today.
How else we can end the show other than that? As always, follow us on Instagram at the 10th Inning Podcast. And then on YouTube, the 10th Inning Pod. Please subscribe on YouTube, comment as well, and also comment on Instagram. We really appreciate it. Once again, if you want us to cover a certain topic, certain player you're interested in that you want us to talk about, put in the comments. We read them all. And we will do the best we can to bring them up within the conversation. And as always, we look forward to Dan's background for every episode. It's very fantastic.
Guys, thank you for tuning in and watching. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to vote next season. Eduardo Escobar MVP for the Mets.